A major breakthrough has been reported in the investigation into the August 2nd attack on St. Joseph's Catholic Church in Inoyi, Afa, Udi, local government area of Enugu State, with security agencies arresting 3 suspected members of a kidnapping gang allegedly responsible for the attack. The suspects were apprehended during a joint operation involving the Department of State Services, the Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Police Force, the Enugu State Forest Guards, and other security personnel. One suspected kidnapper was killed during a gun battle with the security forces, while 4 AK-47 rifles and ammunition were recovered from the group. The development was disclosed on Monday night when Enugu State Governor Peter Mba visited the state DSS headquarters to inspect the arrested suspects. The governor was represented during the visit by the Secretary to the State Government, Professor Chidiebere Onya. According to Onya, the operation represents a significant step in the state government's efforts to dismantle criminal networks operating within Enugu and bring those responsible for attacks on residents to justice. He also disclosed that 2 of the 3 people abducted during the August 2nd church attack, seminarian Lawrence Ibo and Emmanuel Onwudi, had regained their freedom. More importantly, Onya said the 2 released victims had identified the arrested suspects as the individuals who allegedly abducted them during the attack. There was one vitality in this process, Onya said, explaining that one of the suspected criminals was killed during the operation after engaging security forces in a gun battle. He added that the other suspects were arrested and would face prosecution. The August 2nd attack had raised serious concerns about security in the area, particularly because the incident occurred at a Catholic church and involved the abduction of individuals connected to the church. The latest arrests therefore provide investigators with an opportunity to establish exactly how the attack was planned, who financed or supported the operation, and whether the suspects were connected to other kidnapping incidents in the state. The recovery of 4 AK-47 rifles is also significant. Weapons of this caliber can pose a serious threat to civilians and security personnel, particularly when they are in the possession of organized criminal groups. But the arrests also raise another important question. How extensive is the network behind the suspects? Authorities have not indicated that the 3 arrested individuals represent the entire criminal network. In fact, the state government has made it clear that investigations are continuing, suggesting that security agencies may be searching for additional suspects and individuals allegedly providing support to the group. Professor Onya warned residents against assisting criminal organizations, stressing that anyone found providing information, logistics, or other forms of support to the suspects would also face prosecution.
It's not safe for anybody that decides that criminality will be an endeavor, that criminality will be a business. Enugu State is not the place for them to live. His Excellency Dr. Peter Simba in May 2023 was very clear when he said that if criminality becomes your venture, Enugu State is not the location to do that business. That we will pursue you. We will make sure we'll bring you to justice. And that was why we put the robust security architecture across the state, working in collaboration with the security forces to ensure that Enugu is uncomfortable for anybody that plans criminality.
The message from the Enugu State government was direct. Criminal groups should not assume that they can operate in the state without consequences. We made it clear that if criminality becomes your venture, Enugu State is not the location to do that business, Onya said. He maintained that the state had strengthened its security architecture and was working with federal security agencies to prevent criminal activities. According to him, the government has adopted a coordinated approach involving the DSS, military, police, forest guards, and other security stakeholders. This latest operation demonstrates the potential impact of such cooperation. Rather than relying on a single security agency, intelligence gathering, ground operations, and local security networks were reportedly combined to track down the suspects. However, the authorities still face the challenge of ensuring that the investigation leads to successful prosecution. Arrests and weapons recoveries are only part of the process. Investigators will need to establish the identities and individual roles of the suspects, preserve evidence, document witness accounts, and present sufficient evidence before the court. The identification of the suspects by two alleged victims could become an important element of the investigation, but it will ultimately be for the court to determine their guilt based on admissible evidence. The killing of one suspect during the operation also means investigators will have to establish what information can be obtained from the surviving suspects about the group, its leadership, its previous operations, and possible collaborators. Meanwhile, the recovery of 4 AK-47 rifles and ammunition could help authorities determine whether the weapons were connected to the church attack or other criminal activities. For residents of Enugu, Afa, and surrounding communities, the arrest may provide some reassurance following the fear generated by the attack, but the broader security concern remains. The fact that armed kidnappers were able to carry out an attack in the first place demonstrates the continuing challenge facing security agencies in parts of the country. The latest operation shows that intelligence-led security operations can disrupt criminal networks, but preventing future attacks will require sustained surveillance, rapid response, cooperation with communities, and effective prosecution of those responsible. The Enugu state government has now promised that the operation will not stop with the 3 arrests. As investigations continue, authorities are expected to determine whether the suspects belong to a larger kidnapping network and whether other individuals helped plan, finance, or execute the attack. The bigger issue is whether this operation can become more than a single security success. If the arrests lead investigators to the wider network behind the attack, identify its sources of weapons and funding, and result in successful prosecution, the operation could significantly weaken the criminal group. But if other members of the network remain unidentified and operational, the threat could continue. For residents, the expectation is therefore clear. Not simply arrest, but justice, accountability, and stronger protection against another attack. And with 4 AK-47 rifles now recovered and 3 suspects in custody, the pressure is firmly on investigators to uncover the full story behind the Enugu church attack. For more updates, stay with us on News Express. I am Cassie Tony, and many thanks for watching.